Hey everyone, Tyler here with Gilded Reviews. Today's video is going to cover two different topics. First off, we're going to take a look at Shadows of War. This is just a quick look to give you guys my first impressions, maybe a little bit of gameplay, talk about what I like, dislike. Secondly, I wanted to go over and weigh in on this loot crate fiasco and just why it's such a problem for the industry. Let's go ahead and jump right into Shadows of War. This game aesthetically is gorgeous. It is a lot of fun to be able to explore these new areas that are way less barren than they were in the first. It is a significant upgrade. The music is about the same as it was in the first, bringing emphasis to combat and other more energetic scenes and a more somber tone to the sad, more depressing situations that come up in the game. This is all normal, honestly. Anything that's a AAA title should be off the charts compared to the other games on the market. I mean, you're paying $60 for visual and audio quality, really. Now, the story is there. There are a lot of cutscenes, and you will find yourself transported into Tolkien's Middle-earth realm. There is a lot there for fans to enjoy. Now, me personally, I don't really get too into Lord of the Rings. I read the books, they were okay. Other than that, I'm here for the gameplay, and that's really where this game shines, is that combat. And that combat, even though it gets repetitive, is still fun. There is a lot of variation here, at least for the open world. You can do anything. You can shoot people with arrows, you can sneak around, you can ride Krogs into battle. It doesn't matter. You can annihilate a camp however you want. Unfortunately, they don't give you this level of freedom in missions or quests, and that's really a bummer. It would be nice to be able to draw out captains however I wanted. The Nemesis system just isn't as groundbreaking as it was in the first. It's kind of the same thing, just has a couple more additions to it that make it better in some ways and worse in others. The best new feature of this system, at least in my opinion, is the fact that they bring in enemies from Shadows of Mordor and have you fight them again. They have unique voice lines that almost give you goosebumps. It really makes you feel a part of the universe. This leads me into some of the issues that I have with Shadows of War, and while they're more just kind of frustrating little things, they can weigh on you, especially with how huge this game is. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that the captains take so long to do their intros. Now, some people may like this, but it is really frustrating to me. I have had situations where captains will show up, talk for 30, 40 seconds, and then another captain will show up, do the same thing, and this chain of captains will happen in the middle of a war where I'm chopping people in half, and it'll take up 3 minutes of time just watching them talk to me about nonsense, stuff that has no impact on the game. And they're actually kind of annoying. Some of them are funny, some of them are good breaks, but 90% of the time it is not necessary. I do not need to hear an orc tell me that he wants to bed me because how pretty I am. It's a little obnoxious. I see what they're going for. They're trying to make it so that when you encounter that orc the second time, he has the same pool of voice lines to choose from, so he's always obnoxious. And it kind of is like, oh yeah, I don't like that guy. I want to kill him. I'm not going to turn him. But it is a huge part of the game and takes up a lot of time.
You may have heard of one like me. He prances, dances, and sings with glee. Wherever there's strife, the singer is there. He slaughters and slays with such merry flair. I sing this song with all my breath. Take heed, for this interlude ends with your death.
The other problem I have is the fact that almost all the animations are identical to the ones from Shadows of Mordor. Now, this may not be an issue for a lot of people, but for people that played Shadows of Mordor in anticipation for Shadows of War, like right before it came out, will notice it, and it is kind of repetitive. The last one here is really the downfall of this game and could cause a lot of people to not purchase it, and it's the garrison system. The garrison system is fun in itself, but as you get into Act 4, things get so difficult that the game almost requires you to buy loot crates. You don't have to get them, don't get me wrong, you don't have to purchase these. You can easily, I guess I wouldn't say easily, you can go through and do all this stuff in-game on your own, but the loot crates make it way easier. And essentially, the programmers put in a heavy grind towards the end of the game that makes you want to purchase these. It makes you say, hey, instead of spending 4 hours doing this, I could just spend $5. $5 for 4 hours of my time is well worth it. And a lot of people will. It's really, on the developer side, an awful thing to do. And that leads me into the second part of this video, loot crates, and just how they're impacting the gaming industry and why they're wrong. Let's go ahead and start off by looking at cosmetic versus in-game power-ups and just why both really affected the industry in a way that hurts the consumer. Now, cosmetic items as a whole aren't terrible. However, they did open the door for developers to see how much income they could get by having these microtransactions. They're trying to adopt that whole free-to-play model in paid games, and it's a big problem. A lot of people don't want to spend extra money, and they feel it's unfair that, say, if I were to spend an extra $20 and get 3 of the outfits that I wanted, that they have to grind that. Some people have an issue with that. I personally, whatever, it's fine. If you want to spend $20 on a game you've put 200 hours into, do it. That's fine. You're supporting the developer. Nothing wrong with that. However, when that is compressed down and you can only get those skins for 3 weeks, it forces people to purchase them before they go away. And it really, there's something in our brain that forces us or makes us go, oh, I really want that. Oh, it's going to go away. I better run my chances, which is a gambling type of addiction, to see if I can get it before it's gone. And this gambling thing is really the main concern here. We don't have any empirical data that tells us that this is safe. There is nothing there that says that this is okay for a 13-year-old to constantly pay his in-game whatever to do these loot crates at the chance of getting something. Now, I know that these blind boxes have been around forever. I mean, I compare it to packs of baseball cards or Dragon Ball Z cards when I was a kid, Pokemon cards. We all did it. Most of us did it. The difference is that card has value. That card is a physical item that you can have, you can trade, you can do whatever you want with it. Whereas these items, if you get a duplicate, you're just stuck with extra coin or extra parts to be able to build something that takes forever to be able to grind up. So the system is built that during these 3 weeks, if you want this item and you haven't collected enough loot crates in game, you need to purchase more. And doing that to a kid or to somebody who's young who really, really wants the May B skin outfit is a tragedy. You're getting these kids addicted to gambling. This gambling thing gets even worse for games like Shadows of War and Battlefront 2. I don't know who decided to tie loot crates into progression, but whoever did it should be ashamed of themselves. On top of the gambling type addictions that cosmetic stuff can lead to, they also introduced progression changing items, things that make you better in a multiplayer game from spending more money. I can't even begin to imagine the issues that this is going to cause down the line. Overall, I think loot crates are a huge issue that we really need to look at more before we start feeding them down to 13-year-olds. The overall addiction and feelings that you get from opening one are a serious problem, and if we don't address them now, it could cause real issues for games in the future. Thanks for watching. This was something new. I decided to try and do this off the cuff. There was no script. Let me know what you guys thought. If you guys have anything to add to the conversation, please do in the comments. If you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up or click on our icon to subscribe. It really helps us out. We release new videos every few days.